Welcome all. Welcome back to Dominant Mets Nation. Our New York Mets. Our New York Mets have been playing inspired baseball. In the second half of the year, we have the best record in all of baseball. And today we have a show for you. We have some major news, major updates I like to give you my commentary on, but I need your opinions as well. We are going to go through each major piece of news, and please let me know what you think. I really value your opinions. And as always, if you could help our channel grow, please please subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, your chance to subscribe is now. Okay, so let's go over the first bit of news. Today we're going to be covering Blackburn fighting back. Christian Scott, real quick update on him. Senga, Senga news, big Senga news. Brett Beatty, we have a dilemma. We have a dilemma. And Lindor coming back. What will the lineup look like? The lineup, very interesting look with Lindor back. Okay, so the first bit of news, and we're going to talk about Blackburn. And 4 days ago, actually, I got this wrong. I saw, and I guess this was an incorrect Twitter account or X account. It said Paul Blackburn would be shut down. The update I got a couple of days ago was that he had spinal fluid leak in his mid back, and there was no timetable. In fact, it was almost a 99% chance that he was done. Now, today or yesterday, last night, you get an update from Anthony DeComo, and things have changed. Anthony writes, Paul Blackburn described the spinal fluid leak as feeling like a compressed Pepsi can. That doesn't feel good. He received about 10 PRP injections in his back and is feeling better now. Blackburn will play catch today in hopes of returning as soon as the middle of next week. You know what, folks? You know what that tells me? That tells me when you look at your team playing inspired baseball, that inspires you to do anything possible to get back on that field. Now, we know Blackburn is already signed for next year. Maybe he was waiting to see how this team was going. If we would have fallen off, I don't think he would have got those injections. Now he wants to help us do the stretch run. What he does is he adds more pitching depth. We could use him situationally. He's not a guy that I'm like, oh boy, Blackburn's back. He's not a Senga, but he's a guy, an extra arm. He's got mediocre stuff, but if you use him in the right spots, it gives us that extra depth, like I mentioned. Okay, what do you think? Are you excited about Blackburn, or do you feel like me? It's just extra depth. All right, that's the first bit of news. The second bit of news, and I mentioned this on our live broadcast last night, our live stream, and this is a bit sad. Christian Scott, he's been dealing with issues with his UCL the whole year. So it's been tough for him to, throw the slurve, get as much movement. I mean, if you saw him in the beginning of the year in the preseason, this guy's pitch was jumping across the TV screen. But as the year progressed, you noticed that the movement wasn't there as much as it had been. Then he goes out. Then he was deciphering over what is the best treatment. And it turns out it's going to be Tommy John. He's going to receive the new brace treatment. And the sad thing is, Scott, he's 25 years old. It doesn't look like he's going to pitch until he's 27. Sometime in the year 2026, we hope when he comes back, he's going to be back and better than ever. Then, he starts his Mets career. That being said, the rotation next year we have to figure out. Maybe Sprout, maybe some of our other young guys we can fill in. But then at the end of the day, you always have to remember with this team, every pitcher we have right now, from Quintana to McGill as of late to Peterson, and Peterson will be there next year. So you could fill Peterson, potentially Sprout, and then you have to see with our pitching lab, who will become the new Manaya, who will become the new Severino. Will it be young guys that are in our minor leagues like a Mike Vassell, Blade Tidwell, will they be next year's David Peterson? With the pitching lab, you just never know. And that's the great thing about it. We're not going to have to overexert ourselves with starting pitching expensive, at least older guys, because we could develop our guys. We don't have to be that desperate. So that's good. Okay, now let's get into really the important news. We have some very important topics right now. The first important topic is we're going to talk about Mr. Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga in these last 6 weeks has been working extremely hard with eyes on returning to this rotation, to this team. Not so much the rotation, scratch that. He may come out of the pen, but nonetheless, Kodai Senga is extremely close to pitching for our New York Mets. And this is him. This is all him. He's been dictating how fast he wanted to pace this return with guidance from the medical expert. So Kodai wants to be pitching in a game this weekend. It's going to be a minor league game, Triple-A Syracuse. He hopes it leads to getting back onto the Mets staff in some role in time for the postseason. This is Kodai Senga's goal. Obviously, it's the Mets' goal, but you have to go by the player and how he feels. So that's what I'm aiming to. So quotation from Senga, he just said, that's what I'm aiming towards. Triple-A start, getting back before the postseason. And then Senga also said he needs to be 100%. But by him getting onto the field in AAA this weekend, if he wants to be 100%, and that's his guidelines for pitching, it tells you how healthy he does feel. But, I'm still waiting to see how that performance goes. Time will tell with Kodai Senga. He came back with the Braves, series in the middle of the year. He looked phenomenal. But obviously we had disaster. Okay. So Senga, again, I'm looking at his quotation. So Senga says, I have to make sure I check all the boxes before he comes back. Senga said he was probably 70 or 80% healthy and that he would be able to tell if he were ready to go, if he's able to pitch. Okay, so 70, 80%. So again, Senga goes, I've been working my tail off and I've devoted all my time to this. I know if it doesn't go well, I'm going to be in the dugout rooting for my teammates. So I need to make this work. Okay, that is a direct quote from Senga. I am devoting all my time to this. This means everything to this man, and team culture means everything. So he's going to try everything to be there. He wants to be there, but I guess he also gives us the other side to it. If for every reason it doesn't work out, he's still going to be there to root his team on, and I like that. I like that team approach, and I'm rooting for the guy. So they asked Carlos Mendoza about Senga, and he goes, one thing I've learned is you never know what Senga. There are days he feels really good, and there are days he needs a day or two. We've got to wait on the player, and that's what I said, that this whole thing is being dictated by Senga. Carlos Mendoza goes on to say, I don't want to put pressure on him. We just need a healthy player whenever that is. Even without Senga, the rotation is thriving. And since the beginning of September, the Mets are 6-1 with a 1.9 ERA. 1.9 ERA. That's more than thriving. That is dominating. Okay, so Senga reiterated his willingness to pitch in any role. Any role. So, that's something that I like. There's a lot of guys who have an ego and they need to be a starter. That's it. That's what they want to be. They're a starter. They sign as a starter. That's what they're going to be. Senga doesn't give a damn. He will pitch anywhere. Stearns said it would likely be as an opener since Senga is accustomed to coming out of the pen. I'm sorry, I misread that. Since Senga is unaccustomed. Okay, so that's another interesting. That's another interesting. So tidbit. So if for say he's only built up to 2 or 3 innings, it looks like according to David Stearns, the role he would be used in is as an opener. So if he's only built up with 2 or 3 innings, he starts the game, not coming out of the pen. So that's according to David Stearns. So I mean, maybe in the playoffs, maybe you would have a guy like Senga starting, pass it to a guy like Tyler McGill, or Blackburn. That's why Blackburn coming back, he could be the bridge guy. And then you have the rest of your rotation. So Senga, his last quote, he goes, "We're doing great. So I need to do whatever it takes to get back out there and be 100%." Senga said, "I can't go out there at less than 100% and let the team down." So I mean, you kind of feel he's putting a lot of pressure on himself on one respect, but he knows how this team is rolling, so he knows that he has to be at that high level in order for him to contribute to what we're doing. But I love it. I love when I see guys, care so damn much about, their role in the team. They're willing to do anything. He could have just shut it down. He's making millions and millions of dollars, and everybody would have said, fine. He's fighting back. He's fighting back. Blackburn's fighting back. Sanga's fighting back. And you can see how a good culture, a good winning culture, and what that does to these players. So, I really like that. Okay, so now we are going to get to, I would say, the biggest, juiciest news, that I've been thinking about ever since I heard Brett Beatty could potentially come back. And here's the thing, and again, I heard Blackburn might have been done for the year. Senga might have been done for the year. I certainly heard a couple weeks ago Brett Beatty was done for the year. But that's the major thing. When the team is thriving, everybody wants to be a part of it. And now you hear Brett Beatty, who had the finger injury, he is now playing games for AAA, and there is potential for him to come to the big leagues. Carlos Mendoza said he may become. We may option him up here. But here's the thing: is that the best situation? Is that the best move? We know when Brett Beatty was up here, number one, he was unproductive, and number two, the team was unproductive. Last year, he was part of a dumpster fire. Am I blaming it on the young kid? Heck no. I would never do that. But at the end of the day, we weren't gelling. We weren't a cohesive unit. Now we are a cohesive, close unit. Vientos and him, obviously play the same position. Does it affect Vientos in any type of way? I think Vientos is very mentally strong, so I would say no. But there are factors to consider. There really are. Does it ruin chemistry in any other way? Or does it add to chemistry? It's a big, it's not an easy decision. I'll say that. It's not an easy decision. It would be an easier decision if McNeil just got injured, and the Mets didn't go through this miraculous stretch. Yeah, next man up. Brett Beatty, in the beginning of September, it would have been a lot easier call. Right now, when we have gone through so much and we are so close and our team is so tight-knit, a lot of times you don't want to mess around with things. A lot of times you don't want to mess around. Okay, well, I'm going to give you an example of how Brett Beatty might be viewed. My opinion is, it's really tough for me or any other YouTuber, any other analyst who doesn't have access to that clubhouse, doesn't have access to the internal clubhouse information that Mendoza has. He knows the clubhouse dynamic. He knows the culture, and I give all the credit in the world to Mendoza because he has cultivated that culture. He has cultivated that team chemistry. His in-game decision management, specifically with the bullpen throughout the year, may not have been the best. Him pulling starters, June, July, at the end of June, may not have been the best. But you can't take away what he has done with, making sure this team gelled. It is nothing short of amazing. But, now we have a situation where Lindor may come back very soon. And the fact that we are up by 2 games gives Lindor the actual, luxury of not having to really rush back. Like, my initial thought process was, and you read this too as well, that Francisco Lindor would be targeting the first game back against the Phillies. So that would be tonight's game. So I'm not sure, what when he's coming back. He's obviously a day-to-day situation. But I'll tell you, I think we bought him an extra day. So if today was the day, he still may come back. I just checked Twitter. I just checked the updates. I didn't see anything. So if anything just came up about when he's coming back, I missed it. But I'll tell you this: with the Mets hitting, led by guys like Pete Alonso, Starling Marte, Acuna, like guys like that who have led the charge with the offense, blowing out the Nationals in the last couple of days, we have at least bought Lindor another day to rest and recover, especially going up against Taijuan Walker. Taijuan Walker should be another guy that we pummel coming into tonight's matchup with an over 6 ERA. This is a game that we should buy Lindor one more day at least. Then you see if we win, do the Braves lose? Then we go day by day. We go day by day. I just don't want him to come back too early. No way. Now, I would say our best offensive situation when Lindor comes back, Acuna has to be in the lineup. You can't take your hottest hitter out of the lineup, right? So this is what the lineup's going to look like in no particular order. We're going to have Marte in right, Nimmo in center, Acuna in left, Pete at first base, Iglesias at second, Lindor at short, Vientos at third, Alvarez catcher. And I mean, look at that. I mean, that is amazing. Going around the diamond, you got so many homegrown guys. And then this is where you have, potential options. I'd love to get JD Martinez going for the DH position. In the last 26 at bats, he's been abysmal. He's got a .38 batting average, 1 hit in his last 26 at bats. In his last 56 at bats, he has 9 hits and he's batting .161. So that's bad. In his last 106 at bats, which is the last 30 games, Martinez is batting .179. So bottom line, Martinez is not giving it to you. He is abysmal. So this is the only thing I really kind of circled. You have Winker. You have Winker against a righty, but if this is where, if you want to go a Brett Beatty, if you want to go a Brett Beatty in the DH spot, I'm not so really kind of like, rooting for that, because I don't want to mess with team chemistry. And you already got a guy like Winker in there who is a lefty bat. But if you think Beatty provides more power and he's a more dynamic bat, that's where you can go. But I'd rather go with more of the experience, more of the patience, more of the chemistry guy, Winker. But, that's what you want to do. So if you want to go with Marte, Nimmo, Acuna, Pete, Iglesias, Lindor, Vientos, Alvarez, and then you can go with Beatty at the DH. But there's no way, in my opinion, unless there's an injury to Vientos, you can put Beatty at third base. All right, so that's my opinion. These are all my updates right now. Let me know what you think. Let me know. If you disagree, that's fine. That's fine. We're not going to agree on anything, and I always would respect your opinion. So, drop a comment. Drop a comment. Also, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. We're going to have a lot of shows, a lot of action going on right now. And then we have, obviously, the postseason, World Series run, and then we're going to deep dive right into that offseason. So, it's going to be a fun times. Hopefully, we're going to be World Series winners. I hope to God. I mean, that would be something. That would really be something. I'm in Florida. I got to probably go back to New York for the parade. Something I've been, hoping for every single year, whatever job I would have, I would always tell my boss, I'm like, if the Mets, make the play, and I say this in the beginning of the year, having all the hope in my head, when the Mets win the World Series, I have that day off for the parade. I would always say that, but unfortunately, it never came to be. But I'm going to leave it off there. Again, I will speak to everyone very soon. Thank you all and have a great day. Let's go, Mets.